Attachment is not love. We've been taught that love hurts, that when you truly care about someone, you should fear losing them, that loving means needing, clinging, depending. But the truth few dare to accept is this: attachment is not love, it's a disguised form of fear. When you're attached to someone, it's not just because you love them. Deep down, you feel that without this person, something in you remains incomplete. You feel that without their presence, your life loses meaning. You feel that without their validation, your value as a person diminishes. You feel that without their love, something in you breaks. Here's the truth: that's not love, it's emotional dependency. Real love is expansion, not chains. It's sharing from a place of freedom, not emptiness. It's being with someone because you choose to, not because you need them to feel complete. But most people confuse love with attachment because they've experienced relationships where the fear of loss was stronger than the desire to share. And here's what I want you to ask yourself: do you really love this person, or are you just afraid of being without them? Attachment isn't just feeling that you need someone in your life. Attachment is feeling that without that person, you lose a part of yourself. It's easy to justify. It's easy to say you love someone so much you can't imagine your life without them. But the problem isn't loving, the problem is believing that without that person, love disappears. If you believe love exists in the other person and not in you, you become a prisoner of the bond. If you believe you need someone to feel valuable, your happiness will always depend on external factors. If you feel that without that person you lose stability, it means you were using them as an anchor to hold yourself. And here's the hardest part to accept: when attachment governs your life, fear becomes the driving force of the relationship. Fear that they'll change. Fear that they'll grow distant. Fear that they'll stop loving you. Fear that one day they'll be gone. That's not love, that's fear of loss. When you love, you add. When you're attached, you cling. The difference between love and attachment is simple: love lets you be yourself without fear of losing. Attachment makes you feel that without the other, you're not enough. Love flows. Attachment imprisons. Love is free. Attachment is possessive. Love is a complement. Attachment is dependency. If you feel like you'd fall apart without this person, it's not love, it's a sign that you've placed your happiness in someone else's hands. This is where detachment becomes necessary, not because you need to distance yourself from the person, but because you need to recover the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Because when you emotionally depend on someone, you give them control over your well-being. If they stay, you're happy. If they leave, you sink. And deep down, you know that's not healthy. When you love from a place of connection rather than dependency, you stop needing to control. When you understand that no one is responsible for your happiness, you stop clinging. When you realize that love is not a limited resource, you stop fearing it will run out. Because real love isn't fear. It isn't anxiety. It isn't anguish at the possibility of losing. Real love is freedom. But to experience it, you first need to free yourself from attachment. You need to learn to let go without fear. You need to understand that detachment doesn't mean losing, but recovering your peace. Letting go is one of the most difficult experiences for human beings. From a young age, we're taught that true love is the kind that lasts forever, that when someone really matters, we should do everything possible to keep them close. We've been conditioned to think that detachment is synonymous with failure, that letting go means losing. But here's the truth few want to accept: letting go of someone doesn't mean losing, it means freeing yourself from the idea that your happiness depends on their presence. Because love shouldn't be a prison. You shouldn't constantly fear that person changing, moving away, or one day deciding to take a different path. Because when fear dominates, love becomes a burden instead of a gift. If thinking about letting go of someone terrifies you, ask yourself this question: is it really love that binds you, or is it fear of being alone? Sometimes we believe we can't let go of someone because we love them too much. But if you delve into that emotion, you'll often discover that what's really holding you back is fear. Fear of not finding another person to connect with. Fear of facing yourself without the distraction of the relationship. Fear that the emptiness you feel will grow larger. But here's the irony, the emptiness was already there before that person. You just thought their love was filling it. But the truth is that no one can fill a void that only you can heal. Letting go of someone doesn't mean that person wasn't important. It doesn't mean you must forget what you lived. It doesn't mean the love didn't exist. It means you choose to put yourself first. You choose your peace over a relationship that consumes you. You choose to recover your energy instead of wearing yourself out for someone who is no longer present. You choose to move forward instead of remaining trapped in what was. Letting go doesn't mean stopping to love, it means stopping to suffer. If you've ever tried to maintain a relationship at all costs, you know that the more you cling, the more you suffer. The more you try to hold on to someone who wants to leave, the more you wear yourself out. The more you fight to recover something that's already broken, the more frustrated you become. Because attachment doesn't strengthen bonds, it suffocates them. If love is real, it doesn't need to be forced. If the connection is genuine, it isn't sustained by fear but by choice. If a person truly wants to be in your life, they will be, without you having to convince them. That's why when you cling to someone who's no longer emotionally present, you chain yourself to an illusion. You remain trapped in the idea of what the relationship was, what it could have been, in the version of the person you met and who may no longer exist. But tell me something, how much longer are you going to keep holding on to what's already gone? How much more energy are you going to spend on someone who may have already moved on? Letting go means recovering your power. When you let go, you realize that the only person you really need in your life is yourself. Not because others don't matter, but because self-love is the foundation of any healthy relationship. You can't love from a place of lack. You can't share your life if you don't belong to yourself first. You can't build a strong bond if the fear of losing is always present. Letting go doesn't mean losing, it means recovering your space. It means choosing yourself again. It means opening up to new possibilities. It means trusting that what's meant for you will come without needing to force it. When we lose someone who has been important in our life, pain is inevitable. It's as if something inside us breaks, as if a part of our identity crumbles with the absence of that person. This is where many people make the biggest mistake, either they get trapped in suffering, reliving the past over and over again, or they become cold, closing themselves to love to avoid feeling pain again. But the key to healing without hardening is to allow yourself to live the process without fear of what it might awaken in you. We live in a society that teaches us to quickly overcome what hurts us. We're told that time heals all wounds, that we must be strong, that moving forward is a matter of distracting ourselves and not thinking too much. But that's not healing, it's avoiding. Because the pain you don't process stays inside you. It becomes resentment. It becomes fear of trusting again. It becomes a wall you build between yourself and love. Have you ever met someone who, after a failed relationship, says things like, "I'll never fall in love again, I can't trust anyone anymore, love only brings suffering"? That person hasn't healed, they've just closed their heart to avoid feeling vulnerable again. But tell me, what's the point of protecting yourself from love if in the process you also deprive yourself of experiencing it? If you want to truly heal, you can't skip the pain. You have to face it. You have to allow yourself to feel the sadness, the anger, the nostalgia. You have to accept that it's normal to miss someone who was important to you. You have to allow each emotion to run its course without trying to block it. Because the pain you accept dissolves, but the pain you suppress becomes a burden you carry for years. Don't be afraid to feel. Don't punish yourself for being sad. Don't believe that because you've decided to let go, you don't have the right to experience grief. Only when you allow yourself to feel without attaching to suffering can you truly heal. Many people believe the only way to avoid suffering again is to close themselves off. They decide they won't trust anyone. They decide it's better not to risk again. They decide to build walls around their heart to avoid feeling pain again. But that's not the solution. Protecting yourself from love doesn't make you stronger, it just makes you more alone. If you've been hurt, if you've had to let someone go, if love has hurt you in the past, that doesn't mean it will always be that way. Each person who enters your life is a different experience. Each connection has something new to teach you. Each story is unique. If you close yourself off because of what happened, you'll be denying yourself the possibility of experiencing something better. Don't let a negative experience define your capacity to love. Don't let fear decide for you. Don't let the pain of the past become the reason you don't allow yourself to open your heart in the future. Because healing isn't just about letting go of the pain, it's about learning to trust again. Here's where many people get confused. They think detachment means becoming cold, indifferent, distant. That to avoid suffering, they must cut off any emotion at the root. That to heal, they must convince themselves they never cared. But detachment isn't disconnection. It's not about becoming immune to emotions, but about learning to experience them without getting trapped in them. It's not about forgetting what you lived, but about learning from it without resentment. It's not about stopping to love, but about understanding that love was never something you should possess. The key to emotional freedom is to integrate the experience without clinging to it. To be grateful for what was without needing to relive it. To learn from what you lived without fear of repeating it. To leave space for the new without carrying the old. That's healing. It's not running from love, but finding a healthier way to experience it. It's not hardening, but learning to feel without depending. It's not forgetting who you loved, but letting them go with gratitude instead of with pain. Love isn't the problem. The problem is how you've interpreted it until now. If you've experienced it from a place of lack, you'll learn to see it as suffering. If you've experienced it from attachment, you'll believe that without it, you're nothing. If you've used it to fill voids, you'll feel that without the other person, something in you is broken. But when you learn to love without fear, without dependency, without possession, then you realize that love isn't something that comes from outside. Love was always inside you. And when you truly understand that, you'll never again be afraid to let go. The pain of letting go of someone can feel like an open wound. It can make you doubt yourself, wonder what you did wrong, replay memories in your mind over and over again. But there's something you need to understand: suffering is only destructive when you don't use it to grow. Without pain, there is no consciousness. The experiences that hurt us the most don't come into our lives to destroy us, but to show us something we hadn't wanted to see. To take us out of what was familiar and push us to a higher level of consciousness. To teach us what we need to learn about ourselves. But many people get trapped in pain. They relive it over and over. They use it to justify their distrust. They identify so much with their suffering that they end up making it part of their identity. But here's where you have a choice: you can allow the pain to consume you, or you can use it as fuel for your transformation. Every experience you've lived, every loss, every disappointment has left something in you. Maybe you learned that you can't depend on someone else to be happy. Maybe you discovered that you hadn't set boundaries, and that led you to lose yourself in the relationship. Maybe you realized you had settled for less than you truly deserved. Pain has a purpose. It's showing you something about yourself that you hadn't wanted to see. And if instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" everything changes. Because now pain isn't a punishment, but a tool for growth. If it left you insecure, use it to build a stronger confidence in yourself. If it made you feel like you lost your way, use it to reconnect with what you truly want. If it taught you that you gave too much without receiving the same, use it to learn to set healthy boundaries. Each scar is a reminder that you went through something difficult and survived. But the difference between someone who remains trapped in the past and someone who has evolved is in how they choose to use their experience. Many believe that when they let go of someone, they lose a part of themselves. But the truth is that when you let go of someone, you find yourself. Because letting go doesn't mean forgetting what you lived, but learning to move forward without remaining trapped in the story. Here's the key: pain shouldn't make you harder, it should make you wiser. You shouldn't close yourself to love, but learn to love without fear. You shouldn't stop trusting, but learn to recognize who deserves your trust. You shouldn't carry resentment, but learn to let go with gratitude for what you lived. Life isn't about avoiding pain, it's about learning from it. Transforming it. Turning it into something that makes you stronger. Your story doesn't end here. If you're going through a process of detachment, if you feel that letting go of someone is costing you more than you imagined, I want you to remember something: you aren't losing, you're evolving. You aren't leaving behind a part of you, you're discovering a stronger version of yourself. You aren't giving up on love, you're learning to experience it in a healthier way. You aren't doomed to repeat the same suffering, you're acquiring the wisdom to not fall into the same patterns again. And now I want you to ask yourself this question: how are you going to use this experience to grow? Because the story you lived can no longer be changed. But the story you're going to write from now on depends completely on you. Detaching from someone isn't just letting go of a relationship, it's letting go of the idea that you need someone else to feel complete. It's returning to yourself. It's recovering your energy. It's learning to live from freedom, not from dependency. But many people, after letting go, remain chained to the past. They keep reviewing memories. They keep hoping, deep down, that the person will return. They keep clinging to the idea of what could have been. And without realizing it, they turn detachment into a silent waiting. But here's the truth: you can't move forward while you keep looking back. You can't build something new if you remain trapped in the old. You can't feel free if you still carry the chains of attachment. Imagine someone who ends a relationship. They say they've let go of that person, that they're fine, that they've moved on. But every night, they review their last conversation. Every time they hear a song that reminds them of that love, they feel a knot in their stomach. Every time they meet someone new, they compare them to the person they lost. On the surface, they seem detached. But in their mind, they remain bound. They keep going over every detail, thinking about what they could have done differently. They keep hoping, deep down, that destiny will give them another chance. They keep feeling that without that person, something in them is no longer the same. That's not freedom, it's an emotional prison where the past still has control over the present. And the most dangerous thing about all this is that often we don't even realize we're still chained. We convince ourselves that we're fine, that time will resolve it, that eventually the pain will disappear. But here's the question you need to ask yourself: have you really let go, or have you just gotten used to carrying the memory? If you think of someone you've lost and feel an emptiness inside you, I want you to remember something: that person didn't create that emptiness. That emptiness was always there. The difference is that while that person was in your life, you believed they were filling it. That their love was giving you something you didn't know how to give yourself. That their presence was covering a part of you that you didn't want to face. That's why when they left, you felt you lost more than a person, you felt you lost a part of yourself. But here's the truth few accept: no one can fill you. If you feel an emptiness, the solution isn't to find someone else to cover it. The solution is to discover what part of you you're still abandoning. Because if you don't, you'll keep repeating the same cycle. You'll cling to the next person, hoping that this time it will be different. You'll build your happiness in another relationship, believing that if it works this time, you won't suffer. And you'll lose yourself in someone else again, without realizing that the only relationship you really needed to heal was the one you have with yourself. Imagine waking up each day with the certainty that nothing external defines your well-being. Imagine being able to love without fear of losing, because you understand that no one can take away what you've already found within yourself. Imagine being truly free, not because you don't have bonds, but because your bonds no longer come from need, but from fullness. That's what it means to truly move forward. It's not about forgetting the people who were important to you. It's not about becoming indifferent or cold. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt to lose them. It's about learning that love isn't measured by how much you suffer when someone leaves. It's about remembering that your value doesn't change depending on who's in your life or who has left. It's about reclaiming your power. Life goes on with or without them. The question is, are you going with it? There are people who spend their entire lives looking back. They remain trapped in a story that already ended. They keep waiting for answers that will never come. They keep feeling nostalgia for something that was never as perfect as they remember it. And meanwhile, life keeps moving forward without them. Every day you spend anchored to the past is a day you lose from the present. Every time you cling to someone who's no longer there, you close the door to what could arrive. Every time you convince yourself that without that person you can't be happy, you rob yourself of the opportunity to discover that yes, you can. So tell me, how much longer are you going to keep giving your energy to what no longer is? How much longer are you going to allow attachment to keep you chained to a story that's already over? How much longer are you going to postpone your true freedom? Because when you truly decide to move forward, something changes inside you. You realize you don't need to go back to what you were, because you're building something better. You realize love wasn't lost, because it's still inside you. You realize life isn't taking anything away from you, it's just showing you that you can be happy without depending on anyone else. That's true liberation. When you understand that no one can complete you, because you're already complete. When you stop expecting something external to fill a void that only you can heal. When you realize that love isn't possession, it's presence. It's not need, it's choice. That day, attachment stops being a chain. That day, you stop being a prisoner of a story that's already over. That day, you start to truly live. So tell me, are you ready to stop looking back and start moving forward without fear? Because when you understand this, there's no turning back. You move forward. But this time, without chains.